Okay, everybody, I'd like to welcome you to a breakout session and a roundtable discussion at Canada's Digital Farm Show. Last year, we were all in real meat bodies gathered in Woodstock, Ontario, and this year we're meeting virtually. My name is Rob Syke, and a longtime agricultural entrepreneur, founder and CEO of AGvisorPRO, and we want to thank Glacier Farm Media for organizing this event and putting the roundtable together. We have from AGvisorPRO, we have Chantel Taves with us, we have Wilson Schultz, we have Chris Babbings, and then from the industry sector, we have Patty Durand with Farm Credit Corporation, and Farm Credit Corporation just came on board with AGvisorPRO on their advisory services. We'll bring Patty forward. We have Tim Hammond from Hammond Realty in Saskatchewan. We have Dave Postal, publicly traded company, Ag Growth International. Carolyn Chambers and I go way back with ATP Nutrition. So this is our roundtable, and AGvisorPRO is a connectivity platform that we built to shrink time and space and really connect farmers with experts in real time. And we have a cohort of companies that have come on board with our Tech Direct solution that allows us to register, for example, ATP or FCC or AGI or Hammond Realty, and we register their company, we register their proprietary products and services, and we register their reps. And farmers are able to download AGvisorPRO or anybody in the industry and connect instantaneously to the technical reps inside the companies. And so what I'd like to do is I'm going to turn the, after we do these introductions, I'm going to turn the over to Chris Babbing so he can help to moderate a little bit, and I'll chirp in. But Patty, we'll begin with you and just tell us a little bit about you, your role at FCC, and maybe we'll just start off with the first question as to AGvisorPRO, and then we'll go to Carolyn and Dave and Tim. Okay, so Patty, you kick us off first.
Sure, thank you. FCC obviously is best known in terms of lending in the agriculture community, and that's really our business. We also, as a federal crown, have a mandate to better Canadian agriculture. So my role falls under that umbrella. I'm an agriculture transition specialist. I work out of Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and cover the north half of the grain belt in this province. We have a team across Canada that is working to support farm families in transition. And so we coach and we connect, helping the families to have conversations and shape their vision and strategy for how they need to achieve that transition. So AGvisorPRO is an opportunity for us to be available to more farms. We work not just with customers, but with farm families, whether they're working with FCC or not from a lending perspective. And this is another platform to permit us to do that.
Well, we're delighted to have you with us. I mean, I made a comment that there's literally billions of dollars of farm wealth going to transfer in the next number of decades here, and we need more people prepared for it. So thank you for being on board with us. Carolyn, you at ATP are on board with AGvisorPRO. You came on really early and are excited about that. But you guys you guys are using AGvisorPRO for not only reaching out to farmers, but also retailers. So let's talk a little bit about what you do and why you are excited about working with us.
Sure, Rob. So especially in this time, but even prior to, let's say, the COVID issue, you know, farmers are always looking for answers, and they want answers, as we know, real time. They want to get a hold of an expert in a certain area, and there's no one expert that can kind of cover off all the agronomic areas of expertise. So where we see our fit is as a company and as an ag tech company focused on plant nutrition, which is kind of our core. We've expanded into the biologicals area, as well as in some of the analytical tools. So we've got some new things out there that we know farmers or retailers, or quite candidly crop consultants will want to talk to an expert about, and we feel it's a real opportunity to connect. It's not as easy to get on farm right now, and This is it made sense before this happened, COVID happened, but it even makes more sense now. The farmers are sitting at their computers, even though they don't like to, but they need answers when they need them, when they want them.
Yeah, and we want to put that ability to connect in the palm of their hand, whether they're sitting at their desk or they're working in the field. And one of the nice things, Carolyn, is they can actually show you what the plant looks like, and so you can be diagnosing nutrient deficiencies with them in real time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Dave, Ag Growth International, publicly traded company. You guys are into a wide variety of product lines, primarily around the handling side of things, but you're also into software. You're a publicly traded company, and you decide to experiment and come on board with AGvisorPRO. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my role at AGI is marketing and customer experience. So it's a sign that we are really focused on what our customers need to be successful. And we think of our customers, we have a great dealer channel in Canada, and we have great growers who are using our products, and they probably know us better by our products than by the company name Weststeel, Batco, Westfield. Great brands that have been around Canadian farming, for a long time. But we're thinking about how do we help everybody be successful? And I think Carolyn just said it. This made a ton of sense before COVID, and now it's like a genius move, right? Because, everybody's busy. Everybody's working the farm. Everybody's got to get answers when they need it, where they need it, how they need it. And all of a sudden, oh, wow, that's AGvisorPRO. So we heard about Rob's work and what they were developing and thought, this is perfect. This is exactly a way to help our customers be more successful. There's times you need to call us at customer service. There's times you're going to call your dealer. And there are times you got to talk to experts. And if we can put some of our people on this platform and help answer those questions in real time the right way, well, our number one mantra is, look, when the grower wins, we all do better. So let's think about how we help them be more successful, and the rest takes care of itself.
Whether it's Farm Credit Corporation, their advisors on succession, or Carolyn, it's your ATP nutrition specialists, or Dave, it's any of your, you got handling specialists, you've got logistics specialists, making those people available instantaneously to farmers or retailers for free on Tech Direct is using AGvisorPRO just makes sense. Now, it's interesting because we're talking today based on the digital farm show that's being traditionally held in Ontario. Tim Hammond, you are with Hammond Realty, and you came on board as our first realtor to use AGvisorPRO. And here we are having a chance for you to converse with primarily what traditionally has been an Eastern Canadian crowd. And all of a sudden you get a chance to stretch Hammond Realty in that direction. What do you see for your utilization of AGvisorPRO and connecting with people?
Well, I just think like my personal vision for our company is we're an ag company. And yes, we're focused in farmland real estate, but we're consultants. We're advisors, right? We get paid by commission, but that's not why we do it. We want to connect with people. We want to help people. We want to share information. And so when you guys came up with this was just a natural for us, right? Is we want to be able to connect with people around the world, or wherever next door, and answer their questions in a low pressure kind of pertinent form. And also it's an opportunity for us to learn, kind of from the people that are connecting with us as well. So yeah, we're just super excited to be on this.
Well, good. I'm going to introduce Wilson Schultz really quickly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Chris Babbings, who's going to kind of shepherd us a little bit in some discussion. Wilson, you're kind of the face of AGvisorPRO. I'm kind of a silver hair, but you're a 20-year-old, and I don't even know. Yeah, I think you are. But what you're working in customer experience, and why are you excited about AGvisorPRO? Make sure you unmute. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the introduction, Rob. Yeah, I'm 23, so you nailed it. And I'm excited about AGvisorPRO because it's a new way, mostly around these companies, it's a new way to take the 1-800 line and improve it drastically. So instead of just having that limited way of getting a hold of people, you now have access to the reps. You can read about the different reps on AGvisorPRO. You can see what they specialize in, and then you can book a time or connect with them instantly. So it takes out that middleman that wasn't very efficient before. And I mean, we've come a long way. We have a lot of technology. There's really no reason to be using that anymore. So if we can capitalize on this and make it better for everyone, to connect with companies, that's the goal, and that's why I'm excited about it. And I'm excited to meet all of you, and I have met many of you already during the onboarding process for the Tech Directs, and I look forward to continue working with you.
Yeah, Wilson's our customer experience specialist, so he's involved in bringing all you guys on board and kind of shepherding the process forward. I think it's interesting too with young people like Wilson, because you don't have a network yet, but AGvisorPRO can quickly extend your network way beyond the traditional organic growth that you would experience in the industry. Chris Babbings is got a lot of experience in farming and finance and precision ag, and he is our sales lead now with Chris. Chris, so you're out of Kanistino, Saskatchewan, and tell us a little bit about you and why you left a really really awesome opportunity to join another awesome opportunity, and why you did that, and then I'll let you take over asking a few more questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. So yeah, for me, when having been in the agriculture industry, obviously through the spring and through COVID, we had challenges on how we were connecting with farmers, and then obviously connecting with other people within our organization. And I started reading about AGvisorPRO and just realized that it was absolutely a way that we could work through not only COVID, but also just work through and utilize the changes in technology. Rob, I've heard you say that GoToMeeting has been around for a lot of years, and people just didn't necessarily utilize it, and COVID really brought that forward. The need to have a different way to connect. And I guess that's where I'd like to start off with questions and conversation just around, COVID still obviously a big topic, and something that is still impacting us all, and we're unsure what that's going to look like going forward. So I guess I'd just like to get a little bit of a sense of how COVID has changed the way that each of our experts, and I heard that word utilized before, and that's really what all of our panelists are. They're experts in real estate, in plant nutrition, in advisory services, and in grain handling and data. So I'd just like to get a sense of how COVID has changed the way that you communicate with your customers. Sorry, I should say let's start off with Carolyn.
Sure. So we've seen a number of different things, and maybe our how do I say this? I see Rob commenting about the youthfulness of Wilson there. I would say our sales staff is a little bit more senior or experienced. So adjusting to maybe not the belly-to-belly sales focus anymore, and getting them all on Zoom initially was one of those things that we just had to say, hey, how do we take our sales force and make sure that they can still connect with their customers in a way that makes sense for their customers. And I think overall people have adapted and really, really well, I think, to utilizing these technologies. I think that was early on. I think now everybody's like, okay, last thing I want to be on is another Zoom call. So I think what we're finding is our sales force and customers want us to, for lack of a better word, get to the point, be more efficient. Everybody's busy. They want to be more appreciative. So maybe when they came to a meeting, for example, like we host these nutrient summits for 8 hours. Now they're asking, hey, can you do it in 4 hours? Like, can you be more concise? Can I pick and choose? Can I do things on my own convenience? The other thing we've seen a huge trend toward is people want to learn more. Everybody has more time. Nobody's traveling. So educational stuff has really taken off. So people are commenting about, our educational blogs or videos that we put out, and they want to learn. So I think there's a lot of people who are sitting back at home right now saying, I've got some extra time because I'm not spending 8 hours on the road, in the next 2 days. So learning has been a really great thing. And then the other thing we're hearing is our guys and women had, their milk run that they used to see in terms of customers. And they've really used this as an opportunity, since probably because they have a bit more time, to reach out to other contacts that they haven't ever talked to before. So I would say the number of contacts, or for lack of a better word, prospecting, that we've seen happen, just because there's more time available in an office. There, we're still wrestling through things like trade shows. How do we do a good job in terms of showing guys in terms of how things are growing in a field and making that a real experience. And I think those are the opportunities that I think with time, we're going to give some thought over the winter to see how we can do a better job in some of those areas. But I think if I was to say, there's some things that have gone really well, and then there's other things that I think, that we're still learning on and trying to figure out, obviously, like ag emotional, I use as an example, is guys can't get out in the field and see and touch things. And quite frankly, it's just not quite the same on a video. So those are the things that we're still wrestling through a little bit, and working on how to make these experiences more personable and more engaging with growers, so they can get out what they want out of it.
On the other hand, the ability to utilize technology to answer technical questions quickly has increased.
Absolutely. And educational questions too. Guys are reaching out when they want to know an answer. And I think that's one of the biggest fits for the AGvisorPRO platform is they're tired of just listening to stuff one direction. They'll contact us when they need something or when they want to learn something.
Yeah, if I could tag on to that too, we see the same thing. So, we added a lot of new pieces, webinars, online learning, the usual stuff that everybody kind of jumped into, the one-to-many Zoom meetings. And it was really effective. I agree at the start. But now there is this thirst for efficiency and knowledge and make it really, make it really valuable. So it's not simple questions we get, it's questions that need an expert. It needs somebody to get to the right person. So that threading of that needle is a little more challenging, but it's really what the grower wants now. They're like, okay, well, I watched your videos, I went to your webinar, I've read the website, I got to talk to somebody now. So we're seeing huge spikes in our call volume at our call centers and in our email as well. And it is, it's not like, I don't know, I'm looking for this part. They're interesting, thoughtful questions that need answering. So the tone of it, the tone of the interaction, I think, has really started, as Carolyn was saying, has really started to change as well as we get into it. And for me, I don't have an answer. So if you do, let me know. But the trade show dynamic is really important in this category, right? People want to touch and feel the equipment, like you're buying a car, like you're buying a house. You don't do that online, right? Or, well, you do some of it online, but there needs to be that product interaction. And I think that'll be the next thing that evolves. But I do think it will be linked to this notion of experts, because I won't search a bunch of products. I won't go to 2 or 3 car dealerships. I'm going to go to one, and I'm going to know the 2 models I want to look at. So the customers are coming in much, much smarter, more researched, more knowledgeable than they were before.
David, you've got and the same thing with Carolyn, she mentioned it, but you've got, reps with excess capacity right now because they're not on the road. They can actually answer questions now. And so that's another thing. So are your reps on the road? Sorry to jump in, Chris. I just had to ask the question here.
Sorry, Rob, I missed your question there.
Are your reps on the road as much as they were, or?
No, not at all. Like everybody's got set up from home and has started to do stuff from home. And, necessity is the mother of invention. And so a year ago, we would have told you we couldn't calibrate storm seed treaters anyway, but in person. Well, we've done it by Zoom now. We've done it from home, and it's working really well. So the reps have had to change and evolve, and I would say something similar to Carolyn. We've got some, usually the younger ones who are right into it and they get it. And I've also been super surprised at, you know, let's just call them the gray hairs. They've jumped on board like you wouldn't believe. And it's been fantastic to see everybody change and everybody's game get better. So our reps are more efficient, they're more productive, they're covering more people, they're getting more touches to the right people. I think the quality of the experience has just gotten so much better. It's been a crazy jump with COVID, but I think that, and I don't minimize the really bad stuff that's come out of it, but there's been many good things that have happened because we've been forced to change.
Yeah, and so Carolyn, I want to come back to you on something you said, but David, the one thing that you said is just, you know, when people now are going to look for a conversation, they want, you know, they want to talk to the right person, and that's one of the things that I love about the AGvisorPRO platform is the ability for an individual company to really list out, set up the different individuals that they want on the platform, but then also provide some information around their experience and their background. And as a producer, I can go on and I can decide that, yes, this is the company I want to deal with. This is the product. Now let's take a look at their individual representatives and who can better answer the questions that I may have. So, that's something that certainly sticks out for me. And you can customize as a producer, you can customize that experience really, depending on what you're looking for.
Chris, for us, it's really important. I mentioned only 3 of our brands, but Rob's exactly right. Our list of products is super long. We get into all sorts of types of handling, permanent, portable. We get into structures, we get into dryers, we get into aeration, we get into software management, cables, moisture, temperature. So it's easy to get the wrong person, right? It's easy to wind up talking to the wrong person. So that knowing that I'm getting to the right person for my product need, matching that match part of it is really helpful.
Absolutely. And so Carolyn, the one thing that you had mentioned is just the desire to learn more. And that's one of the things that I found, when COVID first happened and kind of throughout the summer, is that all the little distractions that a person had. I've got a couple younger children, and there was no hockey, there was no ball, there was no soccer. People that typically would travel over the winter may or may not be able to do that. So, I think it's important now to, as a company, to be able to be out there and have people to be able to access your information and your products, more so now, because there is a little bit of a gap of what our normal lives look like, and people are trying to find ways to fill that gap. And for us, having companies like ATP Nutrition online where you can list out your products, it's really important, because you're right, people are looking to learn and looking to do that research.
Right. No, exactly. Just to add to that, like, we're kind of re-looking at our website too. And, last year it seemed like it was enough, robust enough. And now, even things like adding, chat boxes to it, adding more video content, making it more engaging. You kind of got to think of it as, the producers are no longer in trade shows. They're no longer in the retailer's door. So we can't meet them anymore. And where do you meet people? You're meeting them online. You're meeting them digitally. You're meeting them through AGvisorPRO. The mediums have changed in terms of where we need to meet growers right now, because that's where they are. And like you said, they're looking for educational content, not just product information. And I would echo David's thought on, we've noticed as well, our growers are coming in the door, meaning the online door, more educated, knowing very specific questions. So they've done their research before they're contacting you. And then the other thing I would also say is, there is also this whole appreciation that emotionally they've got other stuff going on. So, and it's changed a little bit this last week as kids have gone back to school, but I know, there's lots of people who are working at home, dealing with their kids, around while they're doing work. So just the flexibility too of being accessible, off hours, has been really critical for us as well, and in terms of contacting customers, because a normal day is not a normal day anymore.
Yeah, that's 100% true, and that's a whole other dynamic. If the ability to have a conversation through somebody or with somebody through a video-based platform is, I think you get a better sense of what that where their emotional state is at, and kind of what's going on in their life. Is now a good time to talk? Well, when you can see someone's kids running around, or you can see that they obviously have a stressed look on their face, you can tailor that experience to that conversation, to that. And that's what I appreciate about having a video conversation, is you can get a better understanding of where somebody's truly at that given time.
Exactly.
The other side of this, going over to Patty, is that some of the decisions that farm families are wrestling with right now are really big decisions, and having the ability to go into town and sit in a room or meet somebody at a trade show isn't there right now. These heavy discussions, and I think, Patty, AGvisorPRO and FCC advisors being on AGvisorPRO is basically a channel, a catalyst to create an online relationship that you guys will then pick up, because what you're talking about here is a long-term plan for a lot of these people.
It is, and it also is a factor of, as I'm hearing these threads of conversation, the things that pop to mind are people are seeking expertise, but we live in an isolated industry. Our geography is massive. And so when it comes to that really specialized need, to be able to find that is a real challenge. And I hear from producers over and over, like, who do I ask? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And so this platform, AGvisorPRO, is another option to really broaden that, to really access the right people at that specific time. So I come to them often virtually or by phone, and can help them to align those things, but then I want to connect them, and this is another method to do that.
Do you, this opportunity for the agriculture community to connect to FCC advisors for free on AGvisorPRO, this is to get them comfortable in the conversation, and then you guys will pick this up, because this isn't a quick answer. It's not like the same thing as, do I have a boron deficiency or a sulfur deficiency in this crop, where you can see it and answer the question. This thing that you're working on is much deeper.
It can be, and people are hesitant. Our service is free to any Canadian farm, and typically, or to date, I would say we're a pretty new service. We're 2.5 years in, so we're slightly older than AGvisorPRO, but the actual accessibility has been primarily through FCC field offices. And so AGvisorPRO is another method for us to be available, because the reality is, there's 8 of us across Canada. So how might we offer support and get into those deep conversations? And doing it virtually has been a pretty good mechanism. And so this is another way for us to do that.
Thanks, Patty. Tim, I want to turn it over to you here. Being in Saskatchewan, I know that the real estate market in Saskatchewan, and especially the agriculture side, has really evolved tremendously in the last number of years. And I would think COVID has probably changed that, but some of those changes have probably taken place, a little bit before that, just with, individuals, potentially looking to relocate from Ontario to Saskatchewan, and just wondering, how COVID has maybe ramped that up, or is that just a continuing trend of outside people looking to come to this great place that we live?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like when COVID hit right away, our phones just died. It was kind of instant, and for 3 weeks, and that's in March. That's our busy season, right? And so we're kind of wondering where this is going to take us. But it wasn't long after that I think the world kind of appreciated the safe and secure food supply that we have, right? And And it's a priority, right? And then I could feel kind of our clients feeling more comfortable with that as well. So then, we kind of went back to business as usual. And in terms of volume, anyways, we kind of had got used to doing a lot of transactions kind of remotely anyways, using email and internet and that kind of stuff. But, there was this where we like to drop in on the farm and connect with people face to face, and we can't do that anymore. So, how do we do that? So, so obviously, we're excited about this. We've connected, with farmers asking us questions, kind of coming to us. I would love to be able to kind of reach out and kind of connect with all of them, but we're waiting for them to come to us, and they are. So, so it's pretty cool. One of the changes that COVID kind of brought on was a legislative one for us, and we're kind of restricted to signatures, how we could get them electronically. There was restrictions and stuff like that. And again, people put aside their differences, and they said, you know what, we need to change the legislation so that we can make these deals happen remotely, online, without witnesses, as long as we can verify who they are. And it actually improved our kind of process. So there was pain to start with, but we're seeing these efficiencies kind of come out of it now. And I'm talking to lots of people that are seeing that in their businesses. So yeah, so it's kind of a cool place to be right now.
The opportunities that are coming out, like with AGvisorPRO right now, if you had to, if you wanted to slaughter an animal and sell it to your neighbors, you can do meat inspections with AGvisorPRO. You can literally show the animal before and after, and it's geotagged, and it's it's time stamped and coded. And auction marts, using your phone, we can take you to an auction market, and you can do a virtual auction inspection of a piece of equipment that you don't have to drive 3 hours to see anymore, and you have it recorded and saved. So it's kind of cool.
Well, you mentioned recorded, and that's one of the benefits that I see to this app as well, is that our conversations are recorded, right? So you're able to kind of go back through your conversation and coach yourself, or coach the others kind of working with you, that, hey, we could have mentioned that, or I forgot to tell you something. So that's really cool. I really like that feature in this too.
For the farmer, like Carolyn, if you're getting some technical information from one of your people, you can go back and refer to that conversation. So what did he say again, and how did that look? And it's available to you, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, and I think there's a real opportunity even with that to learn, and somebody said this earlier too, to learn from your customers. So, by seeing their, response, and if they have the same technical question, then you're thinking, okay, maybe we need to make something a little clearer, or maybe, how our video states something is not entirely clear. So I think there's a real opportunity when you talk directly to your customers who want information, or are we answering their questions? It allows that two-way feedback. So yes, the customer ideally gets their answer to their question that they're looking for, but we also learn something in the process about maybe something we're not answering or addressing.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think it's really interesting how, both Tim and Carolyn have said this, but it is forcing, service on the customer's terms, right? Okay, I don't have time to come to your office and sign a piece of paper, but if you can validate me, I can do that online. Or, you know what, I got kids to take care of, so I'm going to do this at 7 o'clock, not before you close at 5. It's really cool how this is changing things. It's changing things for the better, I think.
Yeah.
Tim Pattison said something at the last round table we did, Ag in Motion one. He said, I'm on the phone with farmers, and it's really hard for me to help them fix something when they're describing it as blue doohickey on the north side of the sprayer. With AGvisorPRO, you can actually see it, right?
Yeah.
You can see it. Yeah.
So I want to remind anybody who's tuning in, feel free to ask questions in the chat. Our session today is being recorded. I'm not sure if we mentioned that previously, but we have this chat here, and anybody that's happens to be watching, we've got a great panel of experts here from our partner companies. If you have questions for them specifically or about AGvisorPRO, please feel free to ask in the chat, and we'll get those answers for you. Wilson, I'd like to ask you. So, Wilson, you after we bring on a tech direct customer or a tech direct partner, you work hand in hand with them, getting them all set up, getting them onboarded. You're a go-between as well with the marketing, and I guess I'm just curious. We've just begun our journey of working with great partners. What are some of the things you've learned about just the companies that we're dealing with, and I guess some of the general takeaways from the experience and yeah, just with working with the companies that we are working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I didn't understand the full scope of what COVID had done to the industry as a whole. It's changing before COVID, but this really fast tracked a lot of things. And getting to chat with all the companies and getting some insight into that, you actually see how much stuff has shifted. So it's harder to connect with customers right now because it's less of you showing up at a trade show and like that interaction. It's on their terms now. So becoming more appealing to someone's terms is quite the challenge, and making yourself available for that with new technology is a challenge. So I've really just seen a real need for this, and I've seen real interest, and some of it surprised me. I didn't have the insight before I met with all these companies, but you can really see how it's changing the landscape. And I guess the other thing is just, we've had lots of this technology for a long time, but we haven't used it yet. So it really did take something like COVID to shift the mindset forward. So as bad as lots of this has been and how it's changed our lives, there are some positives out of it, as you all were saying, and I definitely think this is one of them.
Patty, one of the things that we're working on with AGvisorPRO is also we'd like, my heart would like to offer mental health support to the agriculture community as well. But these issues around transition and succession, they're very, very personal issues, and a lot of time people just simply don't know who to go to. By offering yourself onto AGvisorPRO, I'm hoping that you will talk to people that you don't know. It's easy to talk to people you do know, and that's back to Carolyn's comment about you have your circuit, but I'm hopeful, and I'd like some comments from you as to the opportunity for AGvisorPRO to create a connection between people you don't know and your advisors.
I think that plays very well with what we do already. I show up at the table, and I often have some background, but I don't know the people. And I have sincerely come to appreciate, after sitting down with literally hundreds of farm families at this point, that there was a craving for connection and to be heard. And so, and your mental health comment is a good one. There's threads of that, and some challenges that people, when they see and recognize that our team, and so I'm one of those that I have at the table, and I have nothing to gain or lose, but care to hear their concerns and help them narrow down a plan for action. There's a lot of power there. And so another opportunity to do that through virtual connection is a big deal. And it's some incredibly meaningful work, and we can really help.
Yeah, I agree. David, sorry, Chris had another question follow up for David. David, I know exactly where you're at. You're in a downtown office in Toronto, and I know you're working out of there, but and you have lots of reps with Ag Growth International, lots of reps all over the world. You think you're going to go back to the original model, or do you think there's going to be some profound changes that are going to be permanent here?
I really do think it's a permanent change we've got going now. I don't think there's any going back to the way it was. It's going to be a newly defined experience. I think you're going to see all sorts of changes in the workforce. Reps will be able to cover more people more often. I think they will cover them better relationships. I think you will see, well, probably at all, not just our reps, but I think across the board, you're going to see technology allow people to sort of change their work career in a way, like it's way easier now. I could go on this platform, right, and work 2 days a week and do very well by that. Or dad's going to retire and pass the farm on, and well, he can maybe pass his knowledge on to more than just his son, right? I think there's so many things that are being created that there's no going back. There's no going back. And maybe we'll save a little bit of time and money on travel, which would be a nice thing occasionally to stay home. But we're not going back to the way it was. This is a permanent shift. Once I started buying groceries online and I realized I could buy anything online, it's going to take a long time to drag me into the mall. So I just don't think we're going back.
Chris, you were one of those. Welcome, Patrick, co-founder and COO. Chris, you were one of those road warriors. You spent your time in a pickup truck, behind the windshield of a pickup truck, and driving around, to Carolyn's terminology, to do belly-to-belly selling and stuff. And with AGvisorPRO, you're not. So what's it feel like?
Yeah, so that for me, I typically put on about 65,000 kilometers a year, in a pickup truck, and I made the comment at one point in time, I think in 2 weeks I put on about 65 kilometers. So and yet had as many meetings as I would have naturally had before. It's been a strange transition, but I think one of the things that I as a parent and as a dad, I want to really always focus on that work-life balance. And I think we're all so busy now, and it doesn't matter to me whether you're in sales or you're in production or especially you're a producer this time of year. That work-life balance, and I know Rob Patrick, CEO. I don't want to talk too much about not working. I'm still here to work, obviously, but just being able to spend that quality time with my kids and the times that I do have them is so important to me. And I have to think, if I'm a producer or whatever industry I'm in, just the ability to work from home and have this is, I don't know, I won't ask my kids, but I'd like to think it's probably made me a better dad. And that's truly important to me. So when we talk about efficiencies that have come out of this, I look at the summer that I've been able to have with my kids, and all in all, it's been a fantastic summer, and that's probably because of just being at home. So yeah, it's been a great transition. One I'm still finding my way through, but really enjoying it.
Well, we have to be careful as well, because they said that we're working from home, but you're also sleeping in the office. So there's that too. So it goes both ways. I wanted to touch a little bit on the idea of answers now, Carolyn. You guys at ATP put on these marathon road shows, 8 hours, and great speakers. You get people, like Dr. Chakmak and people like that. They get on stage and they got 45 minutes and they drill the farmers. And by the time the farmer gets home, he's forgotten 95%. He said it was a good meeting. That's what he remembers, a good meeting. But in the growing season, when they need an answer now. And that's one of the things that's been at the heart or the thought process of building this thing, is when I am trying to make a decision on foliar, boron, and canola, I want an answer now. How do you think that AGvisorPRO is going to help you with that type of part of your business?
I think that's going to be instrumental. So again, and somebody mentioned it earlier, I think, David, how this whole thing has changed from, kind of the seller to really the buyer. The buyer is really become more in control here, and in terms of when they want things, and we just need to figure out how to adapt to that. So again, rather than asking people to come to something and disseminating information, it's give them information when they need it. and the information they want, and really no more. So that, you know, if they want 5 minutes of information on the question about foliar or boron, they get that answer. And, you know, if they want to come and learn more, they can. I think the other thing that it's enabled is, you know, you talk about Dr. Chakmak, who we pull in from Turkey, for example. I think this does enable people to be accessible beyond their geographies. So, you know, you can talk about how do you get access to, like, you know, some of our folks, you know, I'll use Dan Owen because he's been, and he's humble about it, but he's been named as the top agronomist in Canada before. And, you know, to have access to somebody like that on your farm instantaneously and give you a recommendation on something that may be related to our products and it may not be, where can you get that expertise? So I think typically a grower would only have maybe access to his local rep. And I think what this platform does is, regardless of geography, because again, we have a mix of skills even within our sales team. Somebody may be a biological expert, somebody may be soil sampling expert, and somebody might be an expert on boron, right? So it enables them to go beyond those territory boundaries, because you don't see those anymore.
You know, David, she just said something that's very interesting, and this was about beyond boundaries. Farmers, when they're in season, they're working, they could work till 2, 3 in the morning. Not your local rep may not be available at 2, 3 in the morning, David, but you, because Ag Growth International has international technical reps all over the world, you can schedule those technical reps to answer grain handling issues, so that if the North American reps are asleep, a Canadian farmer working at 2 o'clock in the morning can still access an AGI tech person from Europe because they're just getting up. Have you guys, have you put that into your thinking, Cap, about asynchronous support?
Yeah, we thought about that, Rob, and we carefully chose people to cover as many time zones as possible, just to be exactly that. Like, it's not about when I'm available; it's about when the customer needs me. And so we've got to cover that off thoughtfully. The Answers Now slogan is exactly right. It's when they need it, not when I'm available. So we carefully chose people to cover the time zones. Think about just Canada. We got to stretch 4 or 5 time zones, depending on how far east you want to go, to be effective. Well, that's 4 or 5 hours, right? So that swings your day by a lot. So just covering that, and then to add on, across North America, around the world, to get just the experts you need. We're not putting the guy in Saskatchewan who knows the most about dryers. We're putting our best dryer guy on this thing. So like that matters, like I think Pat taught me more about dryers in 5 minutes than I'll ever learn in my life. So I think there's real value to that you can't, there's no substitute for it. I don't know what is the substitute for that. We can use computers and do lots of great things, but it's those experts, those people, that's where the magic is.
As we
can I build on that?
Yeah, sure, Patty.
So there's definitely been times when I've been meeting with families, and there's evidence that there's been an advisor that has influenced a number of farms in an area. They were really strong in a particular student, and that could be agronomy, that could be financial, that could be legal, whatever. So this takes away that. In that it's not their fault they don't live close to the best advisor in that particular field, and so this removes that geographic limitation or has potential to do that. I think that's significant.
That's a great point, and I think we've all seen this, and really what the AGvisorPRO platform does is it opens a producer in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, or in Westlock, Alberta, opens them to the world, in a way they've never had before. Have a couple questions here, and Tim, I'm gonna ask you one, and then Rob, I'm gonna come back and actually turn the tables and ask you a question here. So get ready for that. So Tim, you talked about some of the efficiencies that have been created, and the virtual signatures and that. do you think that the real estate world will go back to normal to this, or do you think it's just going to continue to evolve and change?
Well, yeah, I think it'll continue to evolve and change and progress. And there's, other contributing factors too. Interest rates are dropping, right? So everybody's that much more excited about it. And like I said, like farmland is real and people are gravitating to it. So for us, it's a great space, but I think to do business and be able to kind of advise people quicker and more effectively and more accurately, yeah, we're going to be able to do that. And one of the changes that we also experience through this is collaboration. So we've always kind of worked as a team together, right? We've always believed that, we got 10 advisors, let's play upon the strengths of every one of them. The first time we, kind of had an internet meeting, we brought in 3 of us. And we'd never done that before because it's always been at the farm, right? So it's like, that's a good question for Tim. I'll ask him when I get back there. Whereas now you can have that virtually. So it's given us lots of ideas to how we can service the client and kind of add value to their whole process.
Yeah, you speak about the collaboration. I mean, it's a personal story. I started with AGvisorPRO on July 29th. Previously, I did a little work when we were on holidays at a national park, and I met our team face to face for the first time last week. So that speaks to utilizing AGvisorPRO and just the world that we're in. I effectively worked here for 2 months without having ever met anybody. I was hired without having met anybody face to face, and that's just a whole new world and a complete change to what had been done before. Rob, a question here from Ralph Pierce, and I'll ask you this question, and then ask any of our other panelists to chime in on this. So the question is, as this evolution of the workforce continues, will we begin to favor the non-human interactions over the person-to-person ones? So will we favor the easier, more efficient interactions over the more time-consuming ones?
That's a good question, Ralph. The hypothesis or the theory of AGvisorPRO has been, my thinking has been that there'll be all sorts of sensory devices that'll tell a farmer where he has a problem. What the problem is may or may not come, with recognition software. But why is the problem there and how to fix it? Well, I think that'll remain the realm of the human being for a long time. But the number of people that have deep domain expertise in agriculture is not growing. It's a shrinking supply. And the farmers are getting bigger. So when they need an answer, they need it now. It's the most constrained issue on the farm. It's the right information at the right time right now. And so, Ralph, I think what I see happening is that it doesn't make sense. I'll use Scott Mears as an example. He's an entomologist. It doesn't make sense to put Scotty in a truck, driving to 2 or 3 farms to sweep net fields to ascertain whether bugs are a threshold, when he could be in 15 fields using AGvisorPRO, helping 15 farmers on the same day by shrinking time and space. So a lot of the stuff that we did, driving to the airport with a truck, jumping on a plane, a rental car, driving out to a hall or to a field for 45 minutes, that dog don't hunt no more. We got to find a way to be able to let those guys like the Tom Wolfs and the Scott Mears monetize their brain. And we've got to find a way to let companies, all of you on this phone call, on this session, we've got to let you guys stretch the expertise of your reps, so that they're not spending time on windshield time, so that they're answering questions. And I don't think we're going to go back to the old way. On the other hand, I can tell you that I'm still itching to have beers with guys in the lounge at a trade show. So there's still that side of the story.
Yeah, the virtual beers are not working for me either, Rob.
No.
Not working for me either. But I think Rob is 100% correct that emotional connection can be better leveraged in our workforce electronically, and it's still there. Like we keep, like, my golly, we everybody is so time pressed. let alone to Chris's point about some work-life balance and being a good dad or a good parent or good mom or whatever. Like we can do so much more with the right use of technology. There'll be some automation, like let's not kid ourselves. If I need directions to some location, okay, the GPS can provide that for me. But if I'm betting my year's income, my year's crop on something, I'm not doing that on a Google search. I'm going to talk to some experts, right? Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Before you pull a decision on $100,000 worth of fungicide, for crying out loud, you're going to want to do a gut check. You know?
Like I in Patty's line of work too, the same thing. Like there's no way I'm going to make a decision about the future of my life's work in a pamphlet or you know, in an email. Like no way. I got to talk. I got to sit down with an expert. And now we can do more electronically. That's the difference.
I think to say that we will do all electronically is probably a stretch.
Yep.
We are in circumstances right now that lends itself, and so the pendulum has maybe gone from one end to the other. But this has really offered an option that people have been forced to try and recognize, hey, this is realistic. But I always kind of come back to, and this is one of the relationship managers at FCC, we serve different customers differently according to their needs. And so we'll find a place. This will have a good place. There's going to be face-to-face. We work in an isolated business, and that human connection links back to mental health. So I think it'll shake out in the middle and probably won't live in any one place permanently.
You know, Patty, you just said something really interesting too. Some farmers don't get along with their local reps, even though they want their products. So you can use AGvisorPRO to get a hold of somebody else in the organization without having that issue. So Dave, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say I totally agree. I think we're the pendulum swinging, but I do think that there is a generational, like we're not making a whole lot of egg experts anymore, right? There is a generational thing that's going on that we should be aware of, and hopefully things like technology, like AGvisor, will allow people more productive years and a better balance of work life. Because there's a huge amount of knowledge inside guys' heads that when it retires, it leaves, and we worry about that all the time. It retires and it goes to Arizona, and we're like, what happened? You know, this lets us use that, tap into that in a reasonable way for longer periods of time. And I hope that's part of the balance that happens, that we get more of that too, because there's a lot of knowledge I think would be a shame to lose right now.
Dave, that is a perfect cue up for actually me and someone who's young in the ag industry and is coming into this as well. And I apologize, but it's a great story, because as you guys were having the roundtable, I was attending and pitching at a Canadian Export Challenge. And so those guys are in Ottawa. It's put on by Google and it's put on by UPS. And it's interesting that Google actually likes this. So long story short, we just won the prairie side of things as well there. So for that export challenge. So I just wanted to share that obviously as well, because I just got out of that call and like coming into the round table.
Congratulations. You guys are on a roll.
You can be anywhere, right?
You're on a roll. You cleaned up an Egg in Motion. Now the export challenge. Holy, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's how we tried to do it.
Well, let's wrap this up. I think we're at 12:58. Let's just do a quick roundtable. Patty, just some thoughts about where you'd like to see this thing head. What would spell success for you with AGvisorPRO and FCC?
I think advice I give consistently to farms is that you want to have a team of advisors that is serving your farm. Figure out what you do well and find experts to fill in the blanks. And this is another mechanism for that. And so I am really happy to know that there's another option, because I always want to deliver solutions, and this is part of that.
Oh, cool. Carolyn, you again, you deal with, and Dave too, but you deal with farmers and you deal with the retail sector. And so, we haven't talked about agri-retail a lot, but can you kind of wrap that up for me as to how you think AGvisorPRO could serve both of your customers, the agri-retail and the farmer?
Sure. Well, and you know what, it's hard to differentiate, because There's some really innovative growers who are just, it used to be, you know, you would train or educate the retailer and they would pass that information on to growers. That's no more. There's a lot of growers who are outpacing retailers, some retails, and there's other retailers who are still very innovative. So it's all over the map. So I would say when you have somebody who's thirsty for knowledge and needs an answer that can make a better decision on their farm in terms of how to reach their genetic potential of those crops, how we view success is if we can help in that by giving them some information to make a better decision. I think that's great. And a lot of that is putting them in touch with somebody when they need the answers now, from the right expert who can help them make that decision. So I think that would be success.
Thanks, Carolyn. David, what's success look like for you in AGvisorPRO?
Well, I think it's all about putting the customer first on their terms, in their needs, and the way they want. And that for me is the real genius of this. So we're super excited to be part of something that is getting people the answers they need, when they need it, where they need it, why they need it, how they need it. Like, it's just right on the money for what we need. And that's true of both, you know, the growers, producers, and our retail customers too, because they have tough business challenges. Yeah. And this is yet another tool that makes the retail experience, the shopping experience, the owning experience that much stronger. I really think it's a win-win-win for everybody. So the fact that it's putting customers first and in front of the line for us is the best part of this initiative, and we're so happy to be part of it, Rob.
Oh, thank you. Tim.
I would say what spells success for me is when all different kinds of clients are using it. And I mean, we've had a couple of experiences already where, you know, a young guy will say, hey, what was the last transaction in RM 287? $3,300 an acre. Thanks. You know, and then we'll get another one that says, Tim, I need a half hour of your time. When can I schedule that? Right. And you know, it's going to be a different conversation. So if we can get everybody kind of engaging on that, that's what's going to spell success for us.
Well, I think I'll wrap up. We're at the end of the hour. I want to thank Patty from FCC, Carolyn from ATP, AGI, and Tim Hammond, Hammond Realty. And these are all Tech Direct partners. So when you download AGvisorPRO on your iOS or your Android device or desktop, you can connect for free to any of these Tech Direct partners that are listed with AGvisorPRO to get answers now. I want to thank Glacier Farm Media for putting this on. Chris, thank you for helping host, and Wilson, thank you for your input. And Patrick, well done on winning the Canadian Export Punch. Well done. Thanks, everybody.